There's a part of you that you've been running from your entire life. A version of yourself that you refuse to acknowledge. Carl Jung called it the shadow self, the collection of everything you've deemed unacceptable about who you are. And here's the uncomfortable truth. The more you ignore it, the more power it has over you. Most people spend their entire lives pretending this shadow doesn't exist. They build elaborate masks, carefully curate their personalities, and suppress anything that doesn't fit the image they want to project. But the shadow never goes away. It just grows stronger in the darkness. What is the shadow self? Carl Jung, the Swiss psychiatrist who founded analytical psychology, introduced the concept of the shadow in the early 20th century. But what exactly is it? The shadow is the unconscious part of your personality that contains all the thoughts, feelings, desires, and impulses that you've rejected. It's everything you've been told, or told yourself, is bad, wrong, shameful, or unacceptable. Think about it. From the moment you were born, you've been shaped by expectations. Your parents told you how to behave. Society dictated what was appropriate. Your peer group defined what was cool or acceptable. And slowly, piece by piece, you began to edit yourself. That anger you felt? Suppress it. Good people don't get angry. That selfishness, that desire to put yourself first? Bury it. Selfishness is wrong. That attraction, that thought, that dark impulse? Lock it away where no one can see it. Every time you rejected a part of yourself, it didn't disappear. It went into the shadow. And over the years, your shadow grew into a complete alternate version of you, one that contains everything you've disowned about your personality. Jung believed that the shadow isn't just negative traits. It also contains positive qualities that you've repressed because they didn't fit your self-image. Maybe you were taught to be modest, so you suppressed your ambition. Maybe you were told to be serious, so you buried your playfulness. The shadow is everything you could be but aren't allowing yourself to be. The cost of denial. Here's where it gets interesting and disturbing. When you deny your shadow, you don't eliminate it. You just lose control over it. Jung observed something profound. Whatever you refuse to acknowledge in yourself, you will see in others. This is called projection. The things that trigger you most intensely in other people are often reflections of your own shadow. That person who annoys you with their arrogance? Maybe you've suppressed your own need for recognition. That friend whose neediness frustrates you? Perhaps you've denied your own dependency. The people you hate most are often mirrors showing you what you refuse to see in yourself. But projection is just the beginning. The shadow operates in more insidious ways. It sabotages your relationships. Have you ever wondered why you keep attracting the same type of toxic person? Or why you keep repeating the same destructive patterns? Your shadow is orchestrating these situations because it's trying to be seen. It creates chaos to get your attention. It controls your choices. Ever made a decision that went against everything you claimed to believe in? That was your shadow taking the wheel. When you deny parts of yourself, they don't obey your conscious commands. They act independently, often at the worst possible moments. It drains your energy. Keeping the shadow suppressed requires constant effort. It's exhausting to maintain a false image of yourself, to constantly police your thoughts and feelings. This is why so many people feel depleted even when their lives look perfect on the surface. And perhaps most tragically, the shadow keeps you from wholeness. Jung believed that psychological health wasn't about being purely good, it was about being complete. When you reject parts of yourself, you fragment your psyche. You become less than what you could be. The irony is brutal. In trying to be good by suppressing your darkness, you actually become more vulnerable to it. The shadow doesn't disappear when ignored, it grows more powerful, more autonomous, more destructive. History is filled with examples of this. How many moral crusaders have been exposed for the very behaviors they condemned? How many people who built identities around being kind and selfless have sudden breakdowns where their rage explodes? The tighter you grip your idealized self-image, the more violently your shadow will eventually break free. Shadow integration. So what's the solution? Jung called it shadow integration, the process of acknowledging, understanding, and incorporating your shadow into your conscious awareness. This doesn't mean acting on every dark impulse. It means being honest about their existence. It means moving from denial to awareness. The first step is recognition. You have to admit that you're not who you pretend to be. This is terrifying for most people because we've invested so much in our self-image. But true strength comes from accepting reality, not maintaining illusions. Start paying attention to your projections. When someone triggers an intense emotional reaction in you, ask yourself, what are they reflecting back to me? What am I refusing to see in myself? This is uncomfortable work, but it's essential. Next comes dialogue. Jung suggested actually conversing with your shadow, through journaling, active imagination, or therapy. Ask it questions. Listen to what it has to say. Treat it not as an enemy to be defeated, but as an exiled part of yourself that needs to be heard. You might discover that your shadow isn't as monstrous as you feared. Often, what we've repressed are simply human qualities taken to an extreme by years of suppression. Your anger might just be healthy boundaries you never learned to set. Your selfishness might be legitimate self-care you were taught to feel guilty about. Shadow work also means accepting paradox. You can be both kind and selfish, both confident and insecure, both loving and hateful. Jung understood that the psyche contains contradictions, and that wholeness means embracing them rather than choosing one side and rejecting the other. Here's the paradox. When you accept your capacity for darkness, you actually become less likely to act on it. It's the people who deny their shadow who are most dangerous, because they don't see their darkness coming until it's already taken control. But when you integrate your shadow, something remarkable happens. You become more authentic, more compassionate, more whole. You stop judging others as harshly because you've accepted your own flaws. You become less reactive because you're not triggered by reflections of your own denied parts. You also gain access to tremendous energy. All that effort you were spending on suppression becomes available for creativity, growth, and genuine connection. The shadow contains not just your darkness, but your vitality, your passion, your raw life force. Jung believed that individuation, becoming a complete, authentic individual, was impossible without shadow integration. You can't become who you truly are while rejecting half of yourself. Conclusion. The shadow will always be with you. This isn't a problem to be solved, it's a reality to be accepted. You will never be purely good, purely rational, purely anything. You're human, which means you contain multitudes, including darkness. The question isn't whether you have a shadow. Everyone does. The question is whether you'll have the courage to face it. Because here's the final truth Jung understood: the gold is in the shadow. Your greatest potential, your deepest creativity, your most authentic self, they're all hidden in the parts of you that you've been afraid to look at. The person you could become isn't the one who has eliminated their darkness. It's the one who has integrated it, who has looked into the abyss of their own psyche and said, yes, this is also me. That's not weakness. That's wholeness. What part of yourself have you been hiding? What would happen if you finally let yourself see it? The shadow is waiting, and it has something important to tell you.